welcome back to another video on my channel. Today's video is kind of more along the lines of content that I would usually share. It's not as laid back as my other two because I did find time this week to sit down and really research. Also, I shouldn't be moving around as much as I was in the last video because I'm sitting on a seat, so that situation is all sorted out. There are still a bunch of people in this house, so there's still a chance that you could hear some background noise, but overall for filming, things are looking up. Not necessarily in life, well, I don't know. They say bad things happen in threes. 2 bad things have happened so far, so hopefully that's not true. But anyways, I know you guys probably don't care, so let's just get right into today's video. Today we are going to be discussing the case of Trey Eric Sessler, who is also known as Mr. Anime, as he was a YouTuber. But before we get into the big picture of the case, let me give you a little bit of background on Trey. Trey was born on August 3rd, 1989 to his mother and father, Rhonda and Lawton, and he had an older brother who was 4 years older than him named Mark. Now, honestly, as far as I could find online, it seemed that Trey's upbringing was fairly normal, if not good. His parents were normal parents. They did everything they could for their 2 sons, and it just seemed like the family was very normal. They lived in Texas their entire lives. Trey had friends in school. It wasn't like he was a loner even in high school. He wasn't like a jock. He wasn't popular, but he did have a close-knit friend group. And yeah, just nothing about Trey's childhood would scream that he was out of the ordinary or anything weird was going on with him. There wasn't even any incidents that happened when he was younger that would have suggested that Trey would grow up to be this heinous person that he turned out to be. But when he was 13 years old, that is when something kind of strange, and very out of the ordinary would happen that would kind of set into his parents' mind that maybe something about Trey wasn't right. So like I said, Trey wasn't a loner. He did have friends, and when he was 13 years old, for whatever reason, Trey decided that he wanted to shoot one of his friends. Now, I'm not sure why. I don't know if they got into an argument. I don't know if it was just random out of nowhere, but Trey did have this plan that he wanted to shoot one of his friends. And in order for Trey to carry out this plan, he had decided that he was going to steal a gun from a police officer. So one day, when Trey was 13 years old, he called 911 and he said that there was a strange shadow in his house. Now, obviously the operator could tell that the person on the phone was a kid, and so I don't really know what their plan was, if they thought that maybe something else was happening or they just went there to teach him a lesson, but a police officer was dispatched to Trey's home. However, once they arrived there, Trey was not there. He was hiding in the woods with a baseball bat, waiting to attack the police officer that arrived so that he could steal his gun. However, obviously Trey was not successful with this, and after seeing that his mental state might not be normal, the police officer told Trey's parents that they needed to send him to a psychiatrist. So Trey's parents agreed and they sent him to a psychiatrist, and they did a bunch of tests and assessments. However, nothing came back out of the ordinary. It didn't seem like Trey was mentally ill or anything like that, and this just all pretty much was dismissed completely. And then 4 years after this, when Trey was 17 years old in 2006, he decided to start a YouTube channel. Now, Trey always had an interest in film and making films and things along those lines, so he made this YouTube channel, and it was originally called Lens Cap Productions, I believe. But about a year later, he would change the name to Mr. Anime, and that's what he would end up sticking to. He started by uploading on this channel just these funny skits that he would act out. A lot of the skits that Trey was acting out on his YouTube channel did have to do with guns and violence, and I do see some people talking about this online on Reddit and things like that, saying that this is a red flag, and I don't want anybody to come for me, but personally, I don't really think that this would be something that would make you go, oh my goodness, like this is a precursor to what happened, because I feel like he was 17, he was a teenage boy, and a lot of teenagers think that it's cool to be interested in things like that, especially in 2006. I remember like people wanting to be gangsters so bad, like, you know what I mean? So I really don't think that that was all that alarming, but it just seemed really like Trey was having fun with his channel. He got a lot of his friends to act in these skits. He also had Mark, his older brother, act in a lot of these skits, and it really just seemed like he was having fun making these films and uploading them to the internet. And then, like I mentioned, in 2007, a year later, Trey would change his username on YouTube to Mr. Anime, and he would really switch the content that he started uploading uploading. Instead of uploading these skits that he would act out with his friends and family, he started to upload videos of him, I guess, like rating anime. And this really worked for him. People loved him on YouTube at that time, and the YouTube platform wasn't big at that time. It wasn't like you could make money off of it, but people loved Trey. They loved him because he wasn't playing a character. He was very straightforward, very honest, very casual. He was doing like the vlog style videos before that was even a thing. And some people even say that Mr. Anime, or Trey, really was what kickstarted the anime community on YouTube, which is kind of terrifying, but it doesn't mean anything bad about the anime community, obviously, but he was just really one of the first people to sit down and make videos like this. That same year, Trey had graduated high school and he started to study criminology, but he dropped that pretty quickly. He worked odd jobs here and there, but he never really could hold anything down. The only thing that he really stuck to was his YouTube channel. However, like I mentioned, at this time, you couldn't really make money off of YouTube, I don't think, but if everything that happened hadn't happened, I'm sure he would be one of the big names on YouTube right now. But yeah, he couldn't really stick to anything. It was well known at this time that Trey was using and abusing drugs. I saw somewhere that he had been diagnosed, or not diagnosed, but he had been subscribed drugs for schizophrenia as well as bipolar disorder. However, I couldn't find anywhere that he'd been diagnosed with that, but I'm going to assume that he was, if he was on medication for those disorders. He was also taking Xanax at that time for anxiety, and he had a drinking problem. So there was quite a cocktail going on here. Trey and his family were very close, but at this point in his life, his father really started to dig into him. He noticed that Trey was on drugs. He noticed that Trey wasn't really trying to better himself or do anything with his life, and his parents were really trying to help him out. So at first they tried disciplining him, but when that didn't really work, they thought, you know, why don't we try and give him this freedom to like grow up? So they bought Trey a car. They were really paying for him to live, and recently Trey's grandmother had passed away, and so his parents decided that they would let Trey have some freedom and they would let him live in the grandmother's home completely by himself. And again, they were paying for him to live, they paid for his car, and so this really gave Trey a lot of space from his family, and it gave him freedom. Now, I think that, I can't really say because I don't have kids, but I would think that his parents probably let him live in the grandparents' home because the dad and Trey were kind of having this conflict because the dad didn't think Trey was trying to better himself, which he wasn't. And it kind of gave Trey space from that environment. So his parents probably thought that that would have been better for him. As time went on, all of this stuff that was going on with Trey really started to show in his YouTube content. People started to notice that maybe his mental state wasn't that great. He was constantly on drugs. He was constantly drinking. And so a lot of the stuff that he would talk about on YouTube really had nothing to do with anime. He started to really focus on guns, and something that he talked about a lot, which ends up being quite strange later down the line, is how much he hated school shootings and how they absolutely terrified him. However, at this time, Trey was becoming obsessed, like sickly, weirdly obsessed with the Columbine shooting as well as serial killers. And he would keep these like notebooks and these pads where he would write down like serial killers and like rank them. Like, this guy did this right, this guy did this right, this guy did this wrong. Like, he was ranking the serial killers. And this is where things get particularly terrible. Well, this was all going on online, and Trey was expressing to his viewers how terrified he was of school shooters. Trey had started to entertain the thought that he wanted to kill people. He had this idea in his head, and so in order to make sure that he could do it, he started to shoot up abandoned buildings in that area, and people in his town knew that he had this YouTube channel, so it started to circulate around the internet that some people who lived near Trey started to say like he does some really strange things at night. He gets into his vehicle and he goes around shooting up abandoned buildings. This then escalated to Trey killing animals. And it gets much worse because he started using his very own pets as target practice. Now, his family was said to have a lot of pets, and Trey would take these animals into his grandmother's home backyard and he would shoot them. Another thing that was going on at this time was that Trey started to save photos or print out big photos of his high school, where he went to high school. He was an adult now, so he didn't go there anymore. But he would draw like these routes that he would take if he was going to shoot up the school. He then decided that that wasn't for him because oftentimes these people who would shoot up the schools would either end up dead or they would end up getting arrested themselves. And so he decided that that wasn't the life for him, and then he started to entertain the thought that he could become a serial killer. He did say that the thought of living day to day knowing that you had a crime like that on your shoulders would really give him anxiety, but he was still entertaining the thought. So now it was 2011 and Trey was just doing really not well. His relationship with his family really started to deteriorate, so much so that around Christmas that year, Trey had confided in a friend that he was going to kill his father. Now, I don't think that the person that Trey had told this to thought that he was being serious. You know when you get like heated or hot-headed and you're like, oh my goodness, I could kill you, like... I mean, like, that's not the greatest thing to say, but I would assume that that's what the person that Trey had told this to was thinking. Like, Trey's just really heated, he's really mad, he's not going to actually do it. But yeah, Trey's family life wasn't great. His father and his brother were both really unhappy with him at this time. They wanted him to stop doing drugs, and they wanted him to better himself, and they wanted him to want to better himself. However, this just really pissed Trey off, and it really just made the relationship terrible. After around this time, Trey went on to buy a kitten that he would end up killing. But the thing about this, and the reason that I'm including this in the video separate from the other pets that he had killed, is because Trey did feel some kind of remorse for killing this kitten. He even wrote this note saying, "Please forgive me," and buried it with the cat. On March 13th, 2012, Trey would upload a YouTube video, which would be his last YouTube video, titled Mr. Anime's New Job. In this video, he would sit down and tell his viewers that he had gotten a new job in film. He seemed really excited about it. He said that he had been headhunted and that he would still be uploading to YouTube. However, there was a lot going on in his life, so he didn't know how frequent his uploads would be.
Well, hi everybody, it's Mr. Anime here. And I'm recording on my MacBook's web camera, and my MacBook's from like 4 years ago, so the web camera's not that great, so you'll have to bear with me. This is just an update video to let you guys know that I'm going to reward myself with probably a 2 or 3 week break coming up here from YouTube videos, anime reviews in particular. I might do some blog stuff. I want to thank you guys a lot for sticking with me and watching the channel. I got more subscribers than ever. I have more views than ever, and everything is going really good. So I'll probably be putting out some blog videos, like I said, and I hope you enjoy those blog videos. I hope you definitely enjoy those. And the Google AdSense thing has been going great, and I really appreciate you guys clicking on my page. Well, I won't say it, but you guys know what to do. And I'll see you with some blog videos. Thanks for watching my channel.
Now, that seems good, right? Like, Trey's getting his life on track. He's got this job that he gets to look forward to. He's gonna go to work. He's gonna have to be sober. However, it turned out that this was a complete lie. And the reason that Trey was ending up saying that he was going to be taking some time off YouTube was because he was planning something absolutely disgusting. A week later, on March 19th, 2012, Trey would show up to his family home. He walked into the garage and called his mom out there and told her that he had something to show her. However, when his mother Rhonda stepped foot in the garage, Trey shot her. After shooting his mother, Trey then entered the family home, and all the noise really disturbed Mark, and he came out of his room to see what was going on, and that is when Trey shot him as well. He shot Mark 2 times at this point. Mark, however, still managed to get away from Trey, and he dragged himself into the washroom and locked the door. At this point, all of the commotion woke Lawton up, and that is when Trey entered his father's bedroom and shot him twice as well. Following this, he then went back into the hallway and he went to the door of the washroom where Mark was, and he just started randomly shooting at the door before shooting the lock off of the door. When Trey finally got into the washroom, that is when he saw Mark in the fetal position sitting on the ground in the washroom surrounded by puddles of blood. Trey would then shoot Mark, Rhonda, and Lawton in the head one more time, and he said that he did this because he didn't want them to suffer. However, what he didn't know at that time was that the first shot had been fatal, and both of his parents had passed away immediately following being shot by their son. After ensuring that his family members were all deceased, Trey began to completely trash the house. He went into the kitchen and pulled all of the food out from inside of the fridge and started throwing it at the walls. He flipped all of the furniture. He was punching holes in the walls. He was just really destroying the home. After doing this, he then called the workplace of both of his parents, saying that neither of them would be in the following day. And then he began to write all of these things all over the walls, saying like, why did I do this? I can't believe I did this. Somebody help me. I'm so sorry for doing this. Things along those lines. After doing all of this, Trey would then go out into the garage where his mother's body was laying, and he would lay beside her and fall asleep. The next day when he woke up, he loaded his car with rifles and 100 rounds of ammo, and that is when he would go to his high school, but once he arrived, he would just sit there. This time, police had arrived at the home because a family member had called saying that they couldn't get into contact with Rhonda or Lawton, and they had also tried to call Mark, but they couldn't get in contact with him either, so they were worried. So police arrived at the home at this time, and upon walking into the house, they immediately knew that Trey was responsible for this. However, it did end up taking them 2 full days to track Trey down. Trey had not gone through with the school shooting, and after leaving the school, he then went to a friend's house. Now, I'm not sure if this friend had known what Trey had done. However, that is where police found him, and that is where they would arrest him, and immediately Trey pretty much completely confessed. This is just so messed up though, because again, Trey did claim that his brother Mark was his best friend, and he said that he didn't want to kill his family. There's actually a video of him online saying that he loved his family more than anything and he would protect them with his life, but if anybody was going to hurt them, it would be him. He said that he had to kill his family to protect them because he wanted to kill at least 70 people in a school shooting, and he didn't want his family to have to live with the shame of being related to a school shooter. So he justified this by saying that he was protecting his family. He also said that immediately after shooting his mother, he regretted it, but he felt like it was too late and he had already committed to this, and so he felt as if he needed to carry out the rest of the killings. Trey pled guilty and was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. My heart sincerely goes out to the families and friends and loved ones of the Sessler family. This case is devastating. And I also think that it's pretty crazy that Trey was making YouTube videos up until a week before he had carried out this heinous crime. It's just crazy that somebody can sit in front of a camera and talk to you, but you really know absolutely nothing about them. They can tell you anything that they want to tell you, and they can keep out anything that they don't want you to know. It is kind of mind-blowing. But guys, that's gonna be the end of today's video. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below what you'd like to see in my future videos, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos from me. As always, all of my other social medias are linked in the description box down below. I'm just saying at the end of these videos because I'll probably be more active on there than I am on here right now. Actually, you know what? I've been doing pretty good with the uploads even though I'm living in a weird situation. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.